It was getting dark. There was a drizzle on the side street where Li Xian lived. He is a 25-year-old mechanic. He lost his mother at a young age, living with his frail father. Li Xian's life has never been easy. He had to bear his father after several business failures, huge debts left behind. He opened a small auto repair shop. It's just enough to keep father and son alive, but unable to pay off the huge debt. There was a time. Li Xian wants to leave his hometown and make a living in the city, but he was reluctant to leave his sick father. He had only one wish in his heart to pay off all his debts. Let the father live a comfortable life. A rainy day. Li Haiyan was busy repairing an old car. Received a call from an unfamiliar number. The other end of the phone. The voice of an older but strong woman came. Li Xian. I'm Mrs. Zirong. I have an important matter to discuss with you. Tonight at 7 o'clock. Southwind Cafe. Come to me. Li Xian was stunned. He had never heard the name before. How he knew him. What's more, why did he see him? Although there is some hesitation, but curiosity made Li Haiyan decide to go to the CIF. When he arrived, he couldn't help but be surprised. In front is a 74-year-old woman. The hair is neatly tied. The face is covered with the rugged features of a business person. She wears an elegant dress, wearing simple but luxurious jewelry. Mrs. Zirong looked at Li Xian, smiled slightly. Come straight to the point. Do you want to pay off your father's debts? Do you want to change your life? Li Xian frowned. Doubts rose in my heart. How did he know about his condition? Why care about him? Who is he? How he knew him? Li Xian spoke slowly but clearly, full of vigilance. Who are you? Why this kind of help is being offered? Mrs. Zirong took a sip of tea gently. There was a mysterious glint in his eyes. I have mine. Approach. I can help you get out of debt. But you have to accept one condition. Li Xian clenched his fists. His instincts told him that something was wrong. What conditions? He asked, his voice full of caution. Mrs. Dong looked directly into Li Xian's eyes. Say a word slowly. I want you to marry me. It's just on paper. I need a legal husband. Li Xian was surprised and almost dropped the coffee cup. Just kidding. I'm old enough to be your grandson. But Mrs. Zirong was calm. I'm not kidding. I need a young, single husband. And you're the best choice. I don't need love. No need to take care of. I just need a legal marriage. To achieve personal goals. You just need to be my titular husband. Live with me. Until I die. In return, I will pay off your father's debts. Take care of your future. When I die, my property will belong to you. This proposal is so strange. Li Haiyan is not a greedy person. But he knew. This is the only chance to get the father out of debt. At the same time, Mrs. Zirong's words. There were also some things that he couldn't fully believe. It's just a legal marriage. Or is there something else behind it? Thought about it for a night. Li Haiyan still couldn't make a decision. These questions kept repeating in his mind. Why Mrs. Zirong chose him? He really just wanted a legal marriage. Or is there another purpose? But thinking of my father's miserable life because of debt. Li Haiyan didn't have a choice. The next morning, he picked up the phone. Called Mrs. Zirong. Are you sure? Will you pay off all the debts for me and my father? The other end of the phone. Mrs. Zirong's voice was calm. There are no fluctuations. I never break my word. As long as we sign the marriage license, all your debts are gone. And that's not all. I will also worry about your future. This sentence is like a double-edged blade. It's both tempting and scary. Finally, Li Xian gritted his teeth, trying to ignore the doubts in your mind. Well, a few days later, the strangest wedding in the region took place. There are no big parties. There is no big gathering of relatives. Just in Mrs. Zirong's villa, a simple ceremony was held. The only people who participated were a few of his henchmen and a few military comrades. There are also some housekeepers. As soon as the news of this marriage spread, rumors began in the village. The guy who married Mrs. Zirong was so rich. It must be for the money. He is in his 70s. She was only 25 years old. That's weird. He must have done it to pay off his father's debt. Before agreeing to get married, rumors and gossip seemed to be everywhere. Someone laughed. Someone laughed. But Li Xian ignored it. For him, This wedding is not love. It's love. It's just an exchange. He used his freedom to save his father. After the ceremony, when the crowd is gradually leaving, Mrs. Zarong turned to Li Xian, gave him a meaningful smile. You don't need to show dissatisfaction. Just stay here. You will understand my true purpose. This sentence made Li Xian feel uneasy, although he has accepted this family business. But he still can't eliminate it. The growing insecurity in my heart. Early the next morning, Li Xian officially moved into Mrs. Zirong's villa. He came from a dilapidated small house in the slums, walked into a spacious, well-equipped one. Resplendent place. It's like a scene from a movie. His first feeling was not excitement. It's about resisting. The villa is huge, but it was unusually quiet. There was no warm laughter from the family, no noise in a normal house. Li Xian noticed. There were only 3 servants in the villa, but very quiet. They only show up when there is work to be done. When you're done, it's quietly gone. Mrs. Zarong did not become kinder either, even though they are legally married. But he always kept a distance. They just meet at mealtime. And Ms. Linta, most of the time in her office, or somewhere her husband doesn't know. One night while having dinner together, Li Haiyan decided to speak out. Mrs. Lin Tay, why are there so few people in this room? Don't you have children or grandchildren? Mrs. Zarong put the chopsticks on the table, looked at Li Xian with cold eyes. I live alone. The family is gone. You just have to do your own thing. Don't worry too much. This answer made Li Xian shudder. He said the rest of the family was gone. It's a coincidence. Or is there something unspeakable about him? 3 days after the wedding, when Li Haiyan was groping in the living room, Mrs. Lin Tay called him to the office suddenly. There was a thick stack of papers on the table. Sign here, he said sternly. Li Xian picked up the newspaper and read it. It's a share with property, and some debt-related documents. Immediately, he felt that something was wrong. Wait, what is this? Why does it have anything to do with me? Mrs. Zarong said calmly. You don't have to worry. It's just a matter of legalizing everything. A condition from the start. Have you forgotten? Li Xian is not a legal expert, but without careful reading, signing documents is dangerous. But when he looked up, only to find that his gaze was colder than ever. It was as if he was testing him, as if rejection would have dire consequences. The room was filled with a feeling of suffocation. Li Xian finally sighed. I signed it. But I don't know. I've just stepped into a huge trap. Li Xian sat quietly in the bedroom, holding the pen in his hand. His heart beats wildly. He had just signed the document given to him by Mrs. Zirong. But he was uneasy. He felt like he was imitating. The Buddha sold his soul to the devil. The huge villa is still quiet and eerie. The clock on the wall ticks in the empty space. Li Xian looked out the window. The sky was pitch black. A cold breeze blew into the room. He shuddered. Early the next morning, when Li Haiyan went downstairs to the restaurant, Mrs. Zirong sat there and drank tea slowly. The atmosphere between the two was as cold as ever. But today, Mrs. Zirong took the initiative to speak. You have signed the document. You are now officially a part of life. Enjoy. Li Xian looked at him in surprise. What do you mean? Mrs. Zirong smiled faintly, but there was no immediate answer. He placed the teacup on the table, looked directly at him meaningfully. Have you ever wondered? Why did I choose you out of hundreds, thousands? Why do I want you to be my husband? This question suddenly made Li Xian feel uneasy. Didn't he just want someone to accompany him? He nodded slightly. Yes, he said calmly but coldly, feeling nothing. Ah? Mrs. Zirong continued. Your father used to be a very good man, but also a person who causes a lot of pain to others. Do you know? Hear your father's name. Li Xian was taken aback. What did he say? My father's business failed, but it never hurt anyone. Li Xian was puzzled. Mrs. Zirong smiled slightly, but his gaze was as sharp as a knife. Then you don't know the whole truth yet. With that, he got up and left. The table was left to Li Xian's heart, but a series of questions swirled. That night, How can't stand this insecurity. Decided to talk to the long-term maid in the house. He walked over to Mrs. Chen. Mrs. Chan. She is a middle-aged woman who looks gentle and quiet. Mrs. Chen. May I ask you one thing? Mrs. Chen hesitated. Still. Nodded. Advance. Why are there so few people in this villa? Also, do you know Mrs. Zirong's past? Mrs. Chen looked at him strangely. It seems to be thinking about whether to say it or not. After a moment of silence, he sighed. You are the husband of the landlady. I shouldn't have said that. But I advise you, if you can, let's get out of here. Why? Li Xian's heart was beating wildly and asked. Mrs. Chen looked around, for fear of being heard. Then he whispered, you know, did the landlady ever have a happy family? But then everything was gone. Her husband died mysteriously. Her son disappeared for unknown reasons. All the people who have worked here before didn't stay long. I don't feel anything. My heart tightened. What did he mean when he said they were gone? Mrs. Chen nodded. The voice also became softer. I don't know. Just everyone who comes into his life. None of them had a good ending. This sentence kept Li Xian awake that night. He began to question himself. Who the hell is Mrs. Zirong? Why marry him? He couldn't take it anymore. The next day, Li Xian decided to find out Mrs. Zirong's evaluation of her father. He returned to his hometown, met someone who knew his father. After many inquiries, my father's old friend, Mr. Qiang, finally agreed to tell him everything. His father was a very intelligent man, but he also made a lot of big mistakes. What's wrong? Li Xian asked. Mr. Qiang sighed. Many years ago, his father partnered with a wealthy woman, Mrs. Zirong, to do business. Li Xian was taken aback. What at that time? Mrs. Zirong still had a husband and son. Together, they invested in a big project. But then the father betrayed their hearts. Impossible. Li Xian shook his head. What he did? He cheated on Mrs. Zirong. She lost all her possessions. Because of that blow to her husband, he committed suicide. The son mysteriously disappeared. Li Xian's heart was pounding. Words just heard. It was like a blow to his heart. So she married me. It's for revenge. Mr. Qiang, looking at her. His eyes were full of pity. Maybe. Be careful when you go back to the villa. He suddenly felt that everything around him had become terrifying. He remembered the document that Mrs. Zhang asked him to sign. Then he ran into his office, flipping through the papers. Finally, he found the contract he had signed. A horrific fact appeared before his eyes. The documents did not only concern Miss Zhang's assets. There are also documents involving huge debts in his name. Oh my God! What is it? Li Xian exclaimed. That's when it happened. Mrs. Zhang's voice sounded behind him. Did you find out? Li Xian turned around. The heart is beating wildly. Mrs. Zhang stood there. The eyes are no longer as gentle as they used to be. It's icy and terrifying. What did you do to me? Li Xian asked. Mrs. Zhang came closer, smiled meaningfully. I didn't do anything. Just now, you have officially become the bearer of your father's debt. Is he here for revenge? What he thinks. Yu felt his whole world crumble before his eyes. He was pulled into a perfect trap. A trap that has been set for more than 30 years. I don't feel anything. The whole world crumbled at his feet. He stared at the papers on the blackboard. These documents were signed by him. Didn't know that it was a trap set by Mrs. Zhang a long time ago. He clenched his fists. The voice trembled with anger. He lied to me. Mrs. Zhang sat calmly in her chair. Took a sip of tea. Looked at him coldly. No. I didn't lie to you. I made it very clear from the beginning. You agree with it yourself. You signed the documents yourself. There is no check. I didn't force you. Li Xian felt chills all over his body. Yes. He signed it without looking. He has thrown himself into his trap. Li Xian gritted his teeth. Plucked up the courage to ask. So all this is just to avenge my father. You marry me. It's just for me to suffer the consequences. And him. Mrs. Zhang smiled faintly. Placed the teacup on the table. And that's not all. I want you to feel what I've been through. I want you to understand what it means to lose an eye. What it means to be betrayed. What it means to be cornered and unhelped. Your father promised to work with me and my husband. But then he burned down all my possessions. Leave us penniless. My husband committed suicide in anger. I haven't heard from my son. I suddenly lost everything as a woman. Mrs. Zhang's eyes narrowed. The voice is muffled, full of resentment. I have lived with this hatred for more than 30 years. Right now, I want your father through his only son. Abandon that feeling. This sentence was like a knife stabbing into Li Xian's heart. He clenched his fists. It turns out that he is just a pawn in this revenge. Li Xian looked back at the papers on the table. The whole body trembled. He read the lines carefully. A feeling of despair rose in my heart. The amount of debt amounts to billions of tons. He was speechless. Madam, are you really going to make me take on these debts? He shrugged. I didn't force you to do anything. Black and white. You signed. Now it's up to you to blame. Li Xian sat down in despair. He remembered the days of poverty. I remembered my life-changing dream. I remembered the hope I had when I signed this marriage. And now, it's all just a nightmare. You can take all my possessions. But I'm not going to let you ruin my life. Mrs. Zhang smiled. Do you think I need your property? I have everything I want now. Just see you suffer as much as I do. I was satisfied. A sentence made Li Xian want to go crazy. He knew he couldn't go on like this. He needs to find a way out of this trap. The night is getting darker. Li Xian quietly left the villa. He can't sit there and wait to be destroyed. He had to figure it out. It is proved that Mrs. Zhang illegally framed him. The key is whether the documents he signed are legitimate. He remembered a friend of his who was studying law. If there is anyone, if you can help him find the true owner of this matter, that's Jia Hao. Li Xian immediately went to Jia Hao law firm. Jia Hao frowned, told him everything. Then he said slowly, you've really fallen into his trap. But first, you remember, is there anything unusual about the document he signed? Li Xian thought silently. I suddenly remembered. Yes. When I signed, there are some provisions that are not mentioned at all. Jia Hao nodded. That's the key. If you have proof of it, he changed the contents of the document after you signed it, then you can sue him for fraud. But how do I find the evidence? Jia Hao thought for a moment. Say, can you check the surveillance in the villa? If there is a recording of you signing the document, we can compare it with what we have now. Li Xian understood. This is his only chance to save himself. That night, he returned to the villa. It was quiet in the house. Li Xian quietly walked into Mrs. Zhang's office. The computer system stores the information of the camera. When he turns on the hard drive, his hands trembled. The heart is beating wildly. He only had one chance to get the evidence. After some searching, he found a video of himself signing a document. He opens the video. The horrific truth appeared before his eyes. After the soldier signs the document, Miss Zhang quietly pulled out another set of documents. In place of the one he had just signed, he just stole the texts. Pieces of people. Li Xian couldn't believe his eyes. His hand was tightly gripping the birch. The heart is beating wildly. That's when it happened. A cold voice sounded behind him. I knew you would. Li Xian moved suddenly. Mrs. Zhang stood at the door. The gaze was cold. The face is expressionless. He struggled to stay calm. The tone is firm. He lied to me. I have the evidence in my hands. You can't hide this fact. Mrs. Zhang looked at him for a long time. Then he laughed. Do you think you can get rid of me so easily? This sentence made Li Xian a little uneasy. Mrs. Zhang was not scared at all. Opposite. He seems to be prepared for such a scenario. Li Haiyan began to realize that it wasn't over yet. This is only the beginning of a fierce confrontation. Mrs. Zhang. The atmosphere in the office became suffocating and frightening. Li Xian stood in place. The eyes are still fixed on the computer screen. After Ms. Zhang's signature was played, movies for exchanging files. Mrs. Zhang stood behind him. The gaze was cold, full of calculations. You think, can this video alone turn things around? His tone was calm, but there was a clear threat in his tone. Do you think I'll let it go? Whether you want it or not. It's up to you, Li Xian said. But remember, you're on my turf right now, Mrs. Zhang said with a smile. The army took advantage of me. That's right. It's still his home. And he was alone. He needs to leave immediately. And take this video with you, so that it doesn't get too late. Li Xian immediately unplugged the USB from the computer. He was about to turn and run away. Bang! At this time, a hand took his arm. "It's Mr. Stan." He hugged her tightly. There was a lot of power in his eyes. "I advise you not to be stupid. If you walk out of here with that video, I promise you'll never run away again." Kogo clenched his fists. "I want to push myself out." He couldn't stop it. But right here, a figure appeared at the door. It was Mrs. Zhang's two bodyguards. Li Xian was stunned. He didn't expect him to have everything ready. "Stop him!" Two bodyguards rushed at him. "There is no other way." Li Xian stood up. "Shake off Mrs. Zhang's hand. Run straight to the window." He jumped from the balcony on the second floor, fell to the grass below. His head hurts. But he couldn't stop. Behind him, Mrs. Zhang shouted. Immediately caught him. Two bodyguards rushed down the stairs to chase him. Li Xian plunged into the gate of the villa, just a few meters away. A powerful force squeezed right on his shoulders. Li Haiyan loses his balance, fall to the ground. One of the two bodyguards caught up, grabbed him by the collar, pulled him back. "Do you think you can get out of here? The guards are nearby." Li Haiyan struggled to break free. But at this moment, a voice rang out. "All matched." Li Xian looked up and saw it. His lawyer friend Jia Hao and the police. Just outside the villa door, Ms. Zhang appeared at the desk on the second floor. Looked down at the police. There was a confused look on his face. A police officer stepped forward and displayed his badge. "Ms. Zhang, we have a search warrant. Your villa can be searched. We have received evidence of fraud and deception from you." Mrs. Zhang's face turned pale. Jia Hao walked up to Li Xian's side. "Lift him up. I know he won't leave you alone. So I called the police before you arrived." "You know what? Police found fake documents in his financial records." Li Xian was very happy, but still can't believe it. He looked at the police. "Will he be arrested?" The officer nodded. "The evidence is too clear. It's not just marriage contracts that are fraudulent, and there are also signs of money laundering. We will investigate further." Mrs. Zhang stood on her desk, gripped the railing with both hands. "You can't do this to me. It took a lifetime to build this business. No one has the right to take it away from me." A policeman stepped forward and said coldly, "You built it by a liar. Now is the time for you to pay the price." Mrs. Zhang's face turned pale. Finally, she realized that she had lost. Two policemen entered the villa. "Handcuff Ms. Zhang and take her away." Li Xian stood still, looking at him. "I had a strange feeling in my heart. It was neither happy nor happy. Except for emptiness. He didn't find anything." After the arrest of Mrs. Zhang, Li Xian's life is not easy. He had to prove himself has nothing to do with his unfair dealings, and find a way to pay off the debts already owed. Thanks to the help of Jia Hao and the police, he was acquitted. Illegally signed documents have been cancelled. But what bothered Li Xian the most was Mrs. Zhang. He couldn't completely hate her, because she was a poor woman, deceived, betrayed, pushed to the limit. Maybe, if only he hadn't gone through so much suffering in his life, he wouldn't be like that. Li Haiyan decided not to hold grudges anymore. He just wanted to live a clean life, a new life free from greed. He went back to school and completed a law degree. He no longer wants to take shortcuts to get rich. He wanted to be a useful person, a person who cherishes life. A year later, things calmed down. Li Haiyan receives a letter from prison. It was sent by Mrs. Zhang. Letter. Her tone was no longer as cold and resentful as before. "There is only one sentence that lives differently than your father." Li Xian was silent for a long time with the letter. Finally, he folded it up. "Put it in your pocket." He knew that this was Mrs. Zhang. The last time in his life, he walked out of the house, basked in the early morning sun, then move on. The story of Li Xian and Mrs. Zhang. Not just a calculated marriage. It's a lesson about greed. A profound lesson in the path of greed, hatred, and forgiveness. The biggest message of this story is, money can't buy happiness. Hatred only makes people more miserable. Even if you have all the assets in your hands, if your heart is full of hatred, you will still live in darkness forever. Don't let someone else's mistakes dictate your life. Kogo could have chosen to continue living in hatred, But he decided to let it go. Resume. It was his kindness and strong will helped him find the true value of life. Forgiveness is not weakness. This is liberation.